Welcome. I'm Bev Adams. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I love organization. I would not say that I'm always organized, but I do have a place for everything and everything in its place when I'm not in the middle of a stamping frenzy. But having organization helps me know what I have and where to find it. And for a long time, I've been making stamp case inserts. I make them for all kinds of things that will go in a stamp case. And they're just printed on copy paper and slip in. And on the side, I have kind of a color coding, the catalog it came from, and where in the catalog you'll find it. And if it's got French and German versions, I have that on there. And I have them for all kinds of things, anything that I think will go in a case. So embossing folders, watercolor pencils. In fact, you can also fit a blender pen and a small pencil sharpener in those cases. I've been doing this for a very long time. I still have this one from 2013, 2014. I don't usually make them for stamp sets, although I do try to make them for the kits. And but for the stamp sets, I've just made these, I call them stamp case slips. And especially when we had stamps and dies that had different names on it, it was really helpful for me to know what it coordinates with, recommended blocks, and again, which catalogs they came in. But then Stampin' Up! Started giving us tricky things like these embossing folders that don't fit in anything I have. So I've just kind of printed the same case on cardstock and just made a strip that goes around it, all the same stuff. And you can see that I started experimenting with different sizes, and I've called these universal case inserts. I've been developing these universal case inserts, and I think I'm to where I want them. And you can see that I've got, even for these big party banners dies and the party alphabet dies. And for these, they came in an envelope, and so I just stick it onto the front of the envelope. Starting from November 1st, when these online exclusives are available to the public, all of the stamps and dies will be coming into this case. You can also buy the envelopes by themselves, so that if you want to create your own, you can. I had this case insert that I'd already made for the dies, so I just put that inside here. When Stampin' Up! Started coming out with these long envelopes for the dies and the stamps, I thought, well, I guess I'm going to start making my universal case inserts that will work for these. So if you're making a case insert for a 6x6, you can do that by cutting here. If you are using a wide case, you're going to cut it on this blue line. If you cut it on this red line down to here, that's going to be for a standard stamp case with the 1/2 inch spine. So if you want an 8-inch case, you can cut that for here, and you probably want to cut it just to here. I do color code these, so if it's something for coloring, like the coloring pencils, I'll use the dark blue. Yellow is embellishments, orange are for dies, blue is for paper, gray is for kits and stamps, purple is for tools, embossing folders, and adhesives. So if it comes from the annual catalog this year, I've got cloud cover. I will probably change this for as each annual catalog comes out. online exclusives are dark purple, special release are light purple. Kits are this same gray, and I think it's gray granite. And mini catalogs is cherry cobbler. So if you want to make universal stamp cases, I have these available. You can print them if you're putting it inside a case, just print it on regular paper. I find that if I print it on something that is going to take a little more moving around and stuff, you're probably going to want to print it on cardstock. Our basic white cardstock goes right through my printer just fine, not a problem. But as I was working with those, I was thinking that's a lot of cardstock, especially if you're going to be printing on cardstock. So I thought, well, maybe I can just make these stamp case strips. I'm calling these the envelope spine strips. And so it's just 3/4 of an inch, and I'm printing them on a sheet so that you can just score on the dotted line and cut on the solid line. I've still got the purple for online exclusives and the same color coding. So here they are. I've got some of the new products, Friendly Foliage dies, and I have the Friendly Foliage stamp set. They do still have all that same color coding. You can just barely see the labels, the spines, because these envelopes are pretty thin. One of the things I like about the envelopes is you can get a lot more on your stamp shelf. They say they're all going to be the same size, so it'll be less visually cluttered, which I love. I probably will go back through and do this for all of them. This one I just took the case insert from Stampin' Up! And put it in here. I put my strip here. The cling stamps work in this very nicely. I have always loved having a piece that when you're mounting these so that they stay together and you can see on the back what you've got. And I know right away if I'm missing anything, and I've liked that a lot. Stampin' Up!, I don't know if you've heard, is no longer going to make the red rubber stamps. One of the reasons they're doing that is because it was hard for Stampin' Up! To reliably get the materials they need to make the red rubber. They decided to go with the photopolymer stamps, and honestly they have been very popular. So when I'm putting this away, I can see at a glance that I've got all my stamps. So I can do the same with the photopolymer. For my dies, I've been copying the dies when I get them on the photocopier. So I haven't quite set up my Friendly Foliage dies yet. I just put this strip on there. So let me show you what I plan to do with this. I will tell you that I could just leave them on here. But again, when you take these off, you won't know which ones you have found and which ones are missing. So I'm going to take them all off. I have already photocopied these by just sticking that whole sheet on my copy machine. And I have it on green paper. So all I'm going to do is put this behind a window sheet. And then I'm going to just put some Stampin' Seal Plus and then put them on right where they go. And it's easy to see which ones I have recovered and put away. And I think that they will come off nicely and go back on. I have in the past used magnet sheets, but because these are flexible, I honestly don't think that the magnet sheets will work in these envelopes. I can just put that back in. And I still have my system that I have been using to keep track. I love that these flaps tuck in pretty easily too. So then that leaves the problem with the stamp sets. I don't have a good way of keeping track of which ones are missing here. I saw a tip for this from Sherry, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, Stojkovic. She has, her website is stampinonline.com, and she's also known as Sherry's Cards. And what she did was she actually stamped her case inserts. So she took off this and she inked her stamps. And she stamped directly onto here. I have done that a couple of times and I'm not sure I will continue. I may stamp on just copy paper and tape that in here. And she put that on the back, so it's going to be on this side. And she just closed it. And so that stamps directly onto here. And I will tell you that it does, this is glossy paper, so it takes a little bit longer to dry. What I am going to do is follow her plan and put the soft cellophane on here. I probably should let it dry a little bit longer. What I'm going to do is put a piece of tear and tape across the top. And it may be that the Stampin' Seal is just fine for this. I don't know which is stronger. But I'm also going to put some adhesive right on top of the stamping here. But I want the tear and tape across the top. And I'm going to cover up that wet ink. I did get a little crazy and went over the edge a little bit, so I'm going to put some embossing buddy on that so it doesn't stick. What she did was just stamp, put adhesive here and pick it up here. But I'm going to do one step beyond what she did. And I'm going to go ahead and put these on as if I had stamped them. So the back side is up. I love this stamp set, by the way. So what I've done is I've put these on in their places and do stick it down a little bit so they stay put. With those, the photopolymer stamps do tend to be a little sticky, especially before you've used them. And then I am going to ink this side. And ink this side. I'm going to clean these stamps, trying really hard not to get ink all over the insert. So I'm going to put the tear and tape on the top, and I'm putting the tear and tape on the side that's open because that's the side that's going to be taking most of the abuse when you're trying to open this case up again. So I want the strongest adhesive there. And if you're careful, you can actually put the Stampin' Seal on the window sheet. So I can line these up here. I have the sticky side up. Close it there. And then when you pull this away, you can see what they look like and also see which ones are missing. and where they go on here. And you can use any color ink. I've just used basic gray. So I have then found a way to keep track of which pieces I might be missing. Seeing the names of the products on the spine with my color coding. So if I'm looking for a stamp set, I'll look for gray. And if I'm looking for dies, I'll look for orange. If I'm looking for things that are online exclusives, I look for purple. I will be posting the ones that are for the online exclusives when they go live on November 1st. Oh, one other thing is I had to move my shelf up a little bit because I had positioned my shelf for these stamp sets. I had a little extra space, but I didn't have enough. So hopefully your stamp shelf is tall enough to accommodate these 9-inch envelopes. You can find all of those case inserts at bevadams.com. Look for Getting Organized and Case Inserts. And I will probably put the strips on both the insert page and also the page for labels. Here is the web address. I also offer lots of resources on my website. Click Shop to see the online exclusives, clearance items, my frequent shopper points, and the products I offer to make crafting more convenient. That includes a cardstock sampler for all the current Stampin' Up! Cardstock and samplers for the Stampin' Up! Cardstock going all the way back to 1997. Click Inspiration to scroll my projects. You'll find the directions and images all the way back to 2011. You may also want to check out the Basics button where I share about stamps, ink, and paper, card cutting, bases and layers, and some of my favorite tools. Click Getting Organized to find lots of free resources like case inserts, labels for just about every product, catalog tabs, color tools, and much more. More organization means more time for crafting. Click Evernote Current Products to learn how you can share my Evernote notebooks. The Current Products Notebook allows you to search every item by name, number, type of product like stamps, designer series paper, tools, themes like birthday, friend, baby, masculine, and even individual words. I also share a notebook with retired products going back to about 2015, and there's lots more that are older than that. Click Stamp Together if you're in Ventura County and come stamp at my house. You can also join my team if you're anywhere in the United States. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel and also to my website so you don't miss a thing. Thank you so very much for watching. Bye.